Happy Slurpee Day, everybody! It's one of the best days of the year. Happy Slurpee Day. I'm not even gonna tease what I'm drinking tonight. We're cutting right to the chase. Poll question for the day. How many Slurpees? How many Slurpees did you drink today on 7-Eleven Day? Make exceptions to the rule. Just jumping right in. Right in. How many Slurpees did you have on 7-Eleven Day? I'm slurping them. They're very slurpy. So we're all in. I am sugared up. I am hyped up and filled up with really good supper. We got our awesome background rolling again with our serve, learn, grow, adapt, freedom. So super excited as you're coming in. Make sure you vote in that poll. How many Slurpees did you have today? I hope everybody's in the 3+ category. You missed out on the goodness. So we are completing our series of the week of the ultimate gig delivery driver. We're going to be talking today about everything app and phone related. Anything and everything regarding the app and the phone, everything we need to know. We've got, just like we've done every other time this week, we've got 4 categories that we are going to break down for setup. We've got setup, maintenance, your future, and savings. Okay, setup, maintenance, your future, and savings. Those are the 4 categories that we're going to talk about today. This is all from our talk that we had on Sunday, kind of categorized it into a bunch of different things. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll kind of say hi to people as they come on in the room. I know you're probably all sugar crashing right now like I am, but it's good. We are good, ready to go. So where do we go for setting up your phone? Okay, so how do you set up your phone right at the very beginning? Let's say it's tomorrow's going to be your very first day as a gig delivery driver. Okay, what do you need to bring with you related to your phone? This is going to be, some of this is like the phone setup, and some of this is actually the physical setup, some actual things that you need. Okay, so a couple of basics, which I kind of recommend no matter what, even if you're not a gig delivery driver. Screen protector and a case. Okay, if you are anything like me, when I'm doing delivery work, the phone is constantly going in and out of my pocket, holding on to it, looking at it while I'm walking, maybe not paying attention to things. My phone hits the floor probably on a too regular basis. Okay, so I just highly recommend you get some sort of good high impact. The case, I don't even know the brand of the case I've been using. You can see this thing is beat up. My phone doesn't even hold in it anymore. I need to get a replacement of it. But I've been using this case for years, and it has just taken an absolute beating. And then I've got a glass. I like the glass feel of the screen protector. This one's starting to get chewed up, so I need to replace it here pretty soon. But I got that. So I just want to make sure that your phone will last a really long time. Because if you're going to have to keep upgrading, new phones because yours are breaking every couple of months, that's not going to be a way to profitability by any means. Okay, so case, screen protector. Okay, those are the first 2 things that I would start with. Now, the best phone. We're not going to do a deep dive into the best phone. If I had an ideal setup, hey Shane, how's it going? We're doing our nightly show that we do Sunday through Thursday nights. We're talking about the ultimate gig delivery driver and specifically about phone setup and everything else. So phone and app setup, everything that you kind of need to know about that. So what's the best phone? You're gonna kind of get a little bit of a debate depending on who you talk to, which apps. If I could have my ideal setup, I would have one iPhone, one Android. I would have them on 2 different phone services. So that way, if one app were down or if one phone service were down, you would have the ability to switch back and forth. Now, you might want to have something like one phone dedicated to Instacart or Shipt and then one phone dedicated towards the food delivery apps, which are kind of easy to switch from app to app. Instacart is kind of like super important to have it on and at the front as much as possible. So you might want something like that. But if you had two phones on one Apple, one Android, and on two different networks, it would give you the ability, if one of the phones were down, if one of the networks were down, if one of the apps were down, to quickly switch over. You want to have as much flexibility as possible and be able to switch as quick as possible. Now, I don't recommend using the same app on different phones and switching back and forth constantly. I think that's going to look really suspicious to the back end side, to the kind of the security side of these apps. But just to have it in emergency situations where, let's say you're on Verizon and Verizon goes down, it's really nice to have access. So I kind of have counterfeited this by having T-Mobile access in my car to go with my Verizon phone. But ideally, it'd be nice to have two phones, and then you could, if you ever needed to, you could run one off the other in terms of a hotspot, different things like that. So what do you need in a phone? It needs to be reliable. It can't be a phone that's constantly crashing. Can't be a phone that just kind of the data and the memory just gets used up really quick. And I think if you're talking about ideally, you'd want something relatively new. Maybe not the newest of the new, but you'd probably be wanting to run something like an iPhone 14, even if you didn't feel comfortable moving to a 15. You want something new. I'm running an iPhone 11 right now, 11 Plus, and I'm fairly certain that that's a cause of some of my lag. I'm just using an older phone that's not caught up. So I kind of keep watching for opportunities to do an upgrade that won't cost too much, and we'll talk about that at the end for savings with that. So screen protector, case, the best phone that you can get that makes sense for you. Maybe one Android, one Apple. That's kind of up to you in terms of that. But some people don't like the Apple side, some people don't like the Android side. Multiple phones, just in general, even if you couldn't have two different types of phones, even if they're both Apple phones, multiple phones, keeping it legal. Okay, so we're not talking about having multiple accounts, fake accounts, fake IDs. We're not talking about that, of course. But if you had one phone that was dedicated just to Instacart and the other to food delivery, or if you had one phone that was dedicated just to restaurant delivery and the other phone was for your personal productivity, something along the lines of multiple phones, but still keeping it legal, still staying within the boundaries of what we have. So a reliable, newer phone, screen protector, case, multiple phones, keeping it legal. And then this is the big one, and this is one of the supplies I burn through the most, is charging cables. Okay, it's important to have charging cables, and you need to have one ideally for each one that you're streaming. So charging cables. Now, we maybe mentioned this the other day, but I'm going to just put it down here. Yes, so in a cooler fan too is a phone cooler fan is possible. It depends on the context, depends on how long you're sitting in a car, depends on whether or not you have air conditioning. When I did not have air conditioning in the car, I was constantly trying to find ways to keep my phone cool so it wouldn't overheat and die or just freeze up or whatever. So if you don't have ways to keep your phone cool, definitely do that. We might have mentioned this on the tools night a couple nights ago too, but juice or a battery pack, external batteries, and then some of the other items that we've already talked about multiple times, so I won't dig in too deep, but headphones, things like that. But I have two different battery packs, and I should have brought them with me tonight, but they're both charging, so they're ready for tomorrow. Two different battery packs that I charge the night before. So that way, if I'm in the store shopping for Instacart, then I have my phone charging. So most of the time, my phone will be between 90 and 100% through most of the day. And then once I kind of know I'm near the end of the day, then I'll even stop worrying about charging near the end of the day, just to give everything a break or whatever. But I'm always having multiple ways to charge my phone, not just when I'm driving. So, and especially if you're dealing with an older phone that goes down in battery quicker, it's helpful to make sure that you have the opportunity to have your battery charging on a regular basis. Okay, so I'm sure there are other things, but that's some of the basics of what I have as like some of the actual, that's how you would want to set up your phone. Okay, so that's how you set things up. We got the annoying bug is back again tonight, just hanging out with us. Okay, so number 2 is maintenance. Okay, So I forgot to already put it up. See, I'm already out of it tonight. Okay, so 1, it's going up late, but you're still going to see it. So 1 was setup. Okay, so setup was number 1. 2 is phone/app maintenance. Okay, so we'll throw this up on the screen here. Phone and app maintenance. So there's a couple parts to this. So obviously with the phone maintenance, we'll do that first. So for actually maintaining your phone, you want to be doing things like checking the stuff that we just talked about, checking your screen protector, checking your phone case, making sure that's good, checking your charging cable. So there's just kind of the general physical maintenance of the phone. Also, you've got the keeping your phone software updated. Okay. This whole idea here is that we're trying to avoid lags, and especially in any apps where you're competing, which is actually becoming more and more, right? Because on Uber Eats, you have Trip Radar where you're competing against other people. Of course, you have Instacart, you have Shipt, and with more and more of these apps, there's a competition thing where if you are just getting the information 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds too late, you're missing out on the opportunity altogether. So you want to have a phone that's reliable on the newer end, but then you also need to do the work that you're regularly updating. I'll often, like on Sundays, I will just often just update everything that needs to be updated on my phone. So another thing to update, of course, is the apps that you're using. So at least once a week, if you don't have automatic updates on, if you do, that's great. That'll just take care of it. But if you don't have automatic updates on, at least once a week, make sure you're actually updating your apps from the App Store. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are ready to go, that you've got the apps fully ready to go from the App Store. So, all right. And then within these apps, okay, within these apps, there's also maintenance that you need to do. So first of all, you got to make sure your contact information is up to date. Your vehicle information is up to date. Your cash out options are up to date. And if you're like me, I like to double check that my money is actually headed to my bank account every couple of days too, because on the off chance that somehow somebody got access to my account, changed the payouts, you don't want your money to just disappear. So all these things you want to be making sure you're doing regular maintenance on. Like if you move, if you change your car, you do any of those things. That's kind of all the basic updating within those apps. And you might have to update certain things in multiple places. Of course, sometimes if you ever get a new driver's license or your insurance updates or all these different things, you got to see every app's got different sets of rules as to what they want to make sure is updated. And it's your job to make sure that stuff is staying updated as much as possible. One other thing that's not so much an updating thing, but it is still a very important part of the maintenance of these accounts is you need to be analyzing your data. Now, I know for some people that doesn't sound like a really interesting thing, but you need to be analyzing your data. In other words, looking at things like customer rating, looking at things at shop time, looking at things like what percentage of your orders are on time or late. There's all sorts of different things like that. And so you're going to have to kind of figure out exactly what is valuable to you and what is not. Like some of you don't care. Like some of you want to have 5-star, and if you don't have a 5-star, you feel like you failed. Others, you're like, look, as long as they're not going to deactivate me, I don't care if I'm a 4.99 or a 4.7, right? Like you just don't care. But I think it's important that you're analyzing your data. The one of the things that I actually really like about the Uber Eats platform is it shows you. I'll see if I can pull this up without showing anything extra. It shows you your recent trends. So if you start, most of the time you just have to calculate it in your head. But on Uber Eats, so I can see like here's my trend for my Uber Eats satisfaction rating. And so it shows, I think I can show all this. Hold on. Yeah. So it shows I was at 98%, and then I went to 99%, and then I just recently dropped back to 98%. So someone recently didn't like one of my orders. And so I don't know who. And there's actually recent feedback about items being damaged. Okay, so what does that mean? Who knows, right? But it's like somebody didn't like, someone felt like the items were damaged. It was probably someone who was picky about something or another. Cancellation rate is another thing I can see. So if I go on my cancellation rate here, which is at currently 2%, but you can see, if you go back in April, my cancellation rate had really gotten high. It was something at like 8% or whatever. And so I've been able to fix it and then keep it up higher. And so kind of the same thing with the on time rate that I have here. So here's the on time rate. Now I'm currently 91% on time, which Uber Eats doesn't like, but at least I'm slightly trending upwards. So analytics like this is important for you to be checking, because you want to figure out, okay, is it a fluke? And I would say the question as to whether or not it's a fluke is, especially, are you seeing things drop across multiple apps? Okay. If you're seeing your ratings drop in the same way across multiple apps, that's probably a good hint that it's not a fluke. But if you just get two random negative feedbacks on one app and everything else is 100% positive anywhere else, that's probably just a fluke. So that's what I use to determine, is it a fluke, is if I see my ratings going down in multiple places at once, I'm going to assume it's me. If I see it going down in just one place, I'm going to ask, is there something about the app that's causing this, or is it just a fluke? So in other words, did some standard change? Did navigation change in one way or another? So you're constantly looking at these things. And I'm looking right now, like, yeah, my satisfaction rating dipped 1%, but then I'll go and I'll look at my other apps. And so again, I'll show you this. Just this is the type of analytic stuff I think is really important. So then I look here, making sure I'm good. So then this is in my Instacart. Okay, what's my current rating in Instacart? It's 100%, 5-star. They I have one low rating that was removed, because Instacart automatically removes your two lowest ratings. They'll also remove for like fraudulent activity or whatever, and that just recently went up to 5. Okay, then I'll check DoorDash, right? And I want to say, okay, let me see what my ratings are on DoorDash. Okay, so what are my ratings on DoorDash? My current customer rating is, make sure I can show all of this. Yep, 4.97. So all 5 stars with 1 2-star, but that's the highest it's been in a while. So I'm not going to go panic that I had 1 or 2 recent deliveries on Uber Eats that are negative if everything else is trending upwards, is trending the direction. But the benefit that I clearly say Uber Eats has that I wish every other app would have is they show you your history, so that way you can see if you're sliding or if you're improving, or if there's an area that kind of you need to make a change. Okay, so this is analyze your data, know your customer ratings. I don't think you need to obsess over this. This isn't something you need to check, multiple times a day. But I like to, a couple times a week, I like to have a pretty good idea as to where my customer rating is, so that way I know if it's trending in a particular direction, and especially if it's trending in a negative direction. Because yes, there are occasionally times if you make one bad mistake, you can get banned from a platform. But it is much more likely that it is a pattern or a habit that has been detected, and then you make a mistake on top of a pattern or a habit, and that's what gets you kind of to that point where you're kicked off. So I like the idea of doing that, and then if you notice that things are trending downward, then maybe you go on a blitz to kind of purge the negative ratings, or to work really hard to get a bunch of positive ratings going on that. Then the last thing is kind of a all-inclusive area, but it is about making sure that you have your phone memory as efficient as possible. So you want to make sure your phone memory is as efficient as possible. And so what I like to do every once in a while is do a full app inventory on my phone. And this isn't just talking about gig delivery apps. This is talking about all apps. So of everything on my phone, are there apps that don't need to be on there? Are there video clips that don't need to be on there, right? So I'm filming a lot for YouTube videos, but then a lot of times I don't ever go back and delete the actual videos off the phone. So then it takes up more memory. Your phone is running slower because of all of that. So you want to kind of look through and say, hey, are there 5 or 10 apps that are using up memory on my phone that I don't actually need? And maybe I can get away with deleting them, removing them, something along those lines. So I would encourage you once a quarter, every 3 months or so, go through your phone, do a full app inventory. Okay. Do a full app inventory, make sure you have that. And then this is one other area. This could be under maintenance, could be under future. So it's a great transition between those two, which is this suggestion came from Rideshare Lisa, to have one folder that is your current apps that you're delivering on, and one folder that is the apps that you are waitlisted on. So we're going to do this, your future. So this is going to be the third area, your future. Okay. So it's your wait list and your current app list. So that way you kind of know what you're working on currently, because maybe you're unlocking so many apps that sometimes if it's a slow day, you kind of forget, like, oh, I could do this. Like for me, sometimes on slow days, I forget, like, oh, I can turn on Shipt because I haven't done much with that app yet. And so it's like, oh, I just kind of forget about it. So by having a folder, then you got a place that you can go where you can be like, okay, you know what? It's slow today, so let me try one of these apps that I haven't tried in a while. Maybe I'll try something a little bit different. Maybe I'll drive somewhere a little bit different and then turn on an app that I don't usually use just to see what I can get with that. So, and this is one other thing that could be your maintenance, but it also ties into your future, which is this. You need to keep up with news and changes that are coming out on these gig delivery apps, okay? You got to keep up with news and changes. The reason it has to do with your maintenance, of course, is you don't want to turn on a phone and be like, oh, they're now requiring this documentation in order to deliver, and you have to go spend 2 or 3 days to go get it. You don't want to have to do that. Instead, you want to be able to be like, okay, I know this is coming. I'm not surprised by it. Hey, Lisa, how is it going tonight? So we're just talking about your future in light of the phone. So kind of just talked about what you had suggested to everyone, to have 2 folders, one for your current apps and one for your waitlisted apps. And I've really been thinking, like, I really need to get set up on my phone too, because I have to scroll to multiple pages for that. And so like I definitely need to do that, and then have those current apps, so that way if it is a slow day, you can turn on another app that maybe you don't normally use to keep that option. And then yeah, keep up with news and changes. Okay, so but why are we talking about future here? Well, because if you're in the same camp as me, where I don't believe that food delivery apps will ever take you to your ceiling. I believe food delivery apps should be your floor. I believe this should be your income floor. I think if you're earning less in a W-2 job or a hourly wage job, you know, that, you know, there's probably reason to consider whether or not you should be keeping those jobs. This should be the floor. $18 to $20 gross an hour, should kind of be the floor of what you should be earning. And then, but you want to build from there. We don't want to stop at that. We want to move to $180 to $200 an hour, or $1,800 to $2,000 an hour eventually. Okay, so we want our time to be valued by others as much as it is for us. So how do we use the phone and these apps to maximize our future? Okay, so one, make sure you are opting in and out of different opportunities as they arise. And here's what I mean. We had a good discussion, I think it was last night, a good discussion about cash on delivery orders. Okay, they're not for everybody, and I'm not telling you you should or shouldn't do it, but you want to research that and say, hey, if I'm having trouble getting to my weekly goal, if I enabled this, would it be possible that I could go a little bit faster? Or because this is enabled, does this cause more difficulty than what it's worth? So maybe every time you have an alcohol delivery, it turns to be more trouble than what it's worth for you. So maybe in that situation, you would say, you know what, I need to disable those types of deliveries. Maybe you would determine, you know what, I don't like doing shopping orders. That is so random, Shane. I don't even know the last time I had cod. Just like probably some white fish and fish sticks. So strange. But you want to keep up and opt in and opt out of different opportunities as they become available. And so, DoorDash just recently introduced new earning opportunities. Now, I haven't actually seen anybody who's gotten these, but they were like surveying hours of stores before the 4th of July and different things like that. Maybe you like that. Make sure you're opted in. Maybe you don't like it. If it's available in your market, make sure you opt out if you don't want to be doing that. So you want to make sure you know. And kind of a side note is um, many of these apps have trainings that you can do to, like, they'll teach you this is how you do this. I know Instacart has a whole bunch. This is how you shop. This is how you break things up. They're not mandatory, but I highly recommend you do every one of them for two reasons. One is just in case there's something in there that you didn't think of, right? As we've done these streams, it's amazing how prepared I think I am when it comes to certain topics. And then someone says something that I've never even thought about before. Never even thought about doing that way. Never even thought about this. Um, and you know what? There's a chance that could be true even with information that these apps are producing, right? They want you to do things in a certain way. So why not learn the certain way? And then that should make you more efficient at doing things the way the app wants you to do it. And that's the second reason why I would tell you to do it, because I believe if you're willing to spend the 5 or 10 minutes, and you can do this during your downtime, going through these different trainings and how to do this, there's going to be somewhere they're keeping track of who has gone through these continuing education classes. I don't know what else to call them. These whatever, these lessons that they want you to know. There's somewhere in some algorithm that keeps that in mind and would say, hey, this driver actually has gone through the training on how to deliver cold products. This driver has actually gone through the training on what order to shop a store. Maybe we'll push them the order 5 seconds early, or 2 seconds early, or 1 second early. Maybe there's some sort of bias towards you. It's certainly not going to hurt you. You might learn something, and I think it will put you in the good graces of these apps. So I always recommend to people, if you've got nothing to do, 5 or 10 minutes, go do one of the trainings in one of the apps. Go read through, go click through links, browse through stuff. You might, if you've been doing this long enough, you might not learn anything new. But I think those click throughs are always important. And if there's actual survey questions or question and answer to do, or slides to click through until you hit complete, I think there's always value in doing that. All right, so what's next? Well, the next two things are basically the same in terms of your future. But one is like if you don't know anything, and the other is once you do know something. Okay, so I'm just going to put them together as like kind of the same thing, but not exactly. So research, and then constantly be looking up for new app opportunities that really are, one, of course, available in your market. Two, taking people. Hey, Kevin, how's it going today? Happy Thursday to you. Happy Slurpee Day. So make sure you're doing research, and because you want to find new app opportunities that are in your market, that are available, or if they're not available, that you're getting on the wait list. Um, and you want to be looking for things that have the potential. The biggest thing here is not just to have more apps. Like, the goal isn't to multi-app to have more apps. Yeah, slow day. Sorry, bummer. I know you mentioned that before. The goal here is to have more apps that will make you more money than you're currently making. So, like, there's a lot of, yeah, you're waiting DoorDash. I waited on Grubhub forever. I'm waiting on Walmart Spark and Amazon Prime. That's just how it goes sometimes. You got to get on those wait lists. But if you haven't done the research, you might not even know there's an app to get on a wait list for, or how to get on the wait list. So you want to do the research, find out what apps, get on as many wait lists as you can possibly think of that you might potentially be interested in. And that way you can kind of slowly, hopefully, move up your income. Now, at first, it might just be you're going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 apps. So now you have four different platforms to take offers from. So that does that. But whenever you hit your limit, let's say 4 apps is your limit, you might add on apps 5, 6, and 7, and now you're just going to pick the 4 best. And maybe you just run. So for a while, when I was still kind of getting used to multi-apping, I would only run the restaurant apps during supper. So I would turn off Instacart for supper because it was just, my brain couldn't handle it. Now I'm to the point that unless I'm super busy, I leave Instacart on all the time. because I'm used to it. But that takes time. It takes time to get used to it. So you want to be researching new app opportunities. And the goal is then as you find out what your bottom apps are, you start phasing them out. You still keep them. You don't kick yourself off the platform, but you only turn those on if your options 1 through 4 are kind of slow. Then you turn on 5, then you turn on 6, and you turn on 7, whatever that number is. So I mean, I'm currently active on 5: DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, Grubhub, and Shipt. Those are my 5. But Shipt only goes on if it's slow and I realize that it's slow enough for me to want another app on. Just because, like, for me, that's what my brain can handle right now. But you always want to be researching. And so, like, for me, there's a lot of new app opportunities in the area of catering. Okay. And I know catering is where I've made some of my best money on DoorDash, but with the way the new program is working, it's not. So I need to take some time, spend some time, and really start researching what are the catering app opportunities in my area. And maybe I have to get on wait lists, right? So who knows how long I'm going to be on Walmart, Spark, and Amazon Flex. Like, I might be on those wait lists for years. So I need to go see if there's other apps. And then if those come on, if suddenly I'm ungated on both of those apps, then great. Like, then I'll try them out and then make my best decision. Maybe it'll be like, hey, Amazon's great if I want to go do like a 6 a.m. shift. Or Amazon's great if I want to do an 11 p.m. shift or whatever. Like, you've got that freedom, that flexibility to kind of move in and out of whatever works best for you. Okay. But you need to be doing the research. And that research can be watching other videos. It can be reading articles, it can be just networking with other people. And, that's one of the things I like about this stream. I'm constantly hearing about other opportunities that maybe I heard about, but I'm a little hesitant because I don't know anyone. And then someone comes in and says, hey, I've been delivering on this, I like this, or I've been delivering on this and it hasn't been the greatest. Doesn't mean other people make the decision for you. It just means, like, by networking, you know what your opportunities are, you research, you dig in a little bit more. If there's an app that's not super local to you, it's almost certain that there's multiple creators who have already made a video on it doing some form of a review, at least so you can get some of the basics, kind of what it is. And you can even just do like best online gig delivery apps, best online side hustles, best gig delivery apps for small towns, like whatever. You figure out what your search is, and then that'll help you for that. Okay. So broader for the future regarding all of this. And it's kind of insinuated, but I want to challenge you just in case you're stuck. I believe that you should have multiple apps that you can turn on at any time that you want. Okay. Now, I understand that's getting harder because scheduling and having to be part of programs is this, but the concept here with multi-apping is not that you're going to be making tons more money, hundreds of dollars more because you're multi-apping. The goal here is that when it's slow across apps, you're still getting a trickle of orders in instead of no orders. The goal here is when it's busy across apps, you have the maximum flexibility to take the best orders. Or the goal here is that some days one app is going to be rocking and the other app is going to be dead. And if you have both of them on, you can catch the rocking orders on this. So for me, Uber Eats is super hit or miss. There will be days I can go the whole day without seeing any good Uber Eats orders. And there's days where I can make $100 on Uber Eats in just a few hours. What's the difference? I have no idea. I just know that if I don't have Uber Eats on, I'm not going to know the difference between the good days and the bad days. Hey, Too Evil, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. So you be able to multi-app, and then also with your future, and this kind of goes back to what we talked about last night, so I won't dig in too deep, but multitask, listen and learn. In other words, be doing something, have other apps that can help educate you. Like I always say, I like YouTube Premium, I like the Bible app. Those are like things that are really important to me. Other people use XM satellite radio, they use Audible, all sorts of different things like that. But also other apps related to other side hustles. Again, we talked about this a lot last night. Slurpee Sugar Rush is starting to wear off. So I guess that's what it is. Okay. So we talked about setting up your phone in the basic way, the maintenance of your phone, and now your future. The last area is this, and I don't have a ton of great ideas here, but I know a couple of things. Just a couple of things on savings. Savings on these apps and different things like that. Number one, on a semi-regular basis, a couple times a year, make sure you compare different cell plans on your service and different coverages among the cell phone carriers in your area. Now, you got to be careful because when they always talk about this is the best network in America, that doesn't matter to you. All that matters to you is what is the best network in your area. So I try to, it's hard to get much information, but I try to keep dialogues open with people and say, hey, I'm having rough cell coverage out here. What service do you have? And most of the time it's like, we just have internet in our home. That's it. Like they know the service is bad where they live or whatever. But I try to at least keep somewhat of a dialogue open, even if it's just with friends and other local people that I know. But you want to be constantly checking your coverage. Make sure you're getting the most coverage for your area. And then the cell plans, right? They're always rolling out new and different cell plans. And, you don't need to be paying for something that has like international roaming if you never even leave your city. Okay. So you might want to look, and if you haven't done it for a while, you're grandfathered in on something. Sometimes you get grandfathered into something good. And other times they roll out plans and you're like, I remember this, like when, remember when like text messaging was this thing, you had to pay for text. There were people who were paying for texts long after there was, unlimited text available because they just never upgraded their plan. So they're spending all this money on texting when they could just switch to a plan and text 10 times as much and it wouldn't cost any more. It might even cost less. So it might even cost less. So compare your cell phone plans, compare coverages, especially if you're looking to upgrade a phone, that's the time to do the research about what plans are available, what's best for your area, because you're going to probably be locked in on something at least for a couple of years. So if you're going to be locked in, make sure you're locked into a service provider that you really like. Okay. Last thing is when to upgrade. If you're looking to get to more of a newer, more reliable phone, you want to try to maximize when you upgrade. So you want to look for good deals. Okay, you want to upgrade your phone when there's a good deal. Now, a lot of times this can be like around Black Friday or Christmas. Sometimes also though, you can upgrade when on up to an almost new phone. So like, let's say right now, I don't know when iPhone 16 is coming out, but let's say they announce iPhone 16 is coming out September 1st. Let's say they say that. Then maybe like in September, you might be able to upgrade to an iPhone 14 or 13, something like that, because it's like, okay, they're just trying to push the rest of those out. And that might still be a huge upgrade from your 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, but you're not going to have to pay as much because they do that. And Shane, that's absolutely right. Like trade in. And sometimes I've heard this, and I might actually be trying this, and I'll let you know if I do. You can sometimes trade in an old phone that's not even your current phone. So like I have an iPhone 8. So if I could trade in my iPhone 8 and then I could keep my 11 and then go from an 8 and 11 to an 11 and a 15, trade in my 8, get some credit for that on top of whatever else, whatever other deals they're doing. Then it's like, oh. So now my phone is faster and now I have a better streaming phone. Like everything upgrades, right? So you're kind of leapfrogging, especially if you're using multiple phones. Kevin, I'm doing some research right now on wrenches and admins and stuff like that to make sure I don't get myself in trouble and I know exactly what I'm doing, or at least somewhat what I'm doing. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah. So that's a nice hack. I like that. That's a good hack. It takes a little. Probably want to know what you're doing if you're going to try to pull this one off, but that is a really good hack, Shane. I like that. Buy a one-off phone from eBay, get a plan for the minimum amount of time, and trade it in. So you're just being like, okay, that might actually save you money if you're not already having an old plan old phone on a plan, something along those lines. That's a really fun hack. If you want to, there's always lots of ways. The more you're willing to spend time, you just have to decide, is it worth my time to do the long way because I'm going to save money, but am I going to spend more time on it than it's worth? You're going to have to do that. You know, that sounds like kind of more of a techie type of flip. Like, kind of might want to be a techie person so you know what you're getting into. But yeah, there's ways to do that where you can be like, okay, let me turn this phone in, then do that, or let me buy the cheaper version, put it on a plan, and then trade it in and do that. Especially if you're not starting with a phone to begin with. You know, if you're just looking or you want to get on a new service or different things. So a lot of times the best deals are for new customers. You can dislike that all you want. That's just how it works. So a lot of times you can leverage a jump over to a different plan into something that works out better for you. And then one other hack, I know this works for iPhone stuff. Most every deal that you can get at your cell phone store, you can also get at the Apple Store. And the Apple Store people will be significantly more knowledgeable about the phone than buying it through your local company. So let's say you want to do the deal and Verizon's like, well, sorry, we're sold out. I know we're offering the deal, but we're just sold out. If you have an Apple Store nearby, go to the Apple Store. They can offer you the same exact deal, and their stock will almost always be in stock. So that's what. So we want to maximize our savings. So we talk about how to set up our phone, the maintenance of our phone and our apps, your future, and how to leverage that with your phone and these apps, and then savings, and ways that you can do that. So I already mentioned what I'm drinking tonight, and it's really not slushy anymore. So I'm gonna take my straw out, but I do still have Slurpee. We have Slurpees in the fridge and freezer. They're everywhere. We picked up 22 Slurpees as a family today from 5 different 7-Elevens. Yeah, Infinity Boost, I've heard of them, you know, and you got to know because a lot of these cheaper providers are just using the same towers as other ones. So make sure you know which company of these cheaper ones, if you're going to do that, make sure you know which of these providers uses which one's towers. So if you have AT&T and you don't like the coverage, don't get a cheap one. I'm not saying Infinity Boost does, but don't get one of the cheaper cell phone plans that uses the same towers. Like if AT&T is not good, don't use another company that just borrows off AT&T's towers in your town because you're going to have the same issue. So there is lots of research to be involved with this, and there's different ways to make this work. But I definitely would just encourage you to do that. So okay, supposedly they'll upgrade your iPhone every year. I think there was like a bigger, was it T-Mobile that was like promoting that too? So, um, yeah, so definitely. So there you go. So I'll just throw this on the screen for anybody watching now or on replay. That's for Infinity Boost. So I've never checked into that myself, but there are definitely things that you can do where you can be like checking these things out and doing those things. So by the way, as we just kind of move into a little channel update, if anybody else has any other cell phone things, do that. By the way, you cannot always trust the numbers because it's been consistently saying 0 people watching this stream like for most of the night, and yet I know there's people in here. So I don't know what they're doing with their algorithm or whatever, but they definitely play some games on YouTube. So unless you're all figments of my imagination, which that's entirely possible at this point of day with this many Slurpees that I've had. But so I did do just a fun little live stream when we were getting our Slurpees. Driving around town. So if you didn't see that, with that going, and then I can throw a picture up on the Patreon too of not. It wasn't even all of our Slurpee cups. It was just what ones still had left. We've since combined and drank some of them, but I think we're good at least for a day or two. Well, oh, we have a cool channel update. Let me show you this. We broke the 1800 watch hours. So hold on, not that one. Click the button. There it is. We broke the 1800 watch hours. So we have less than 1200 watch hours to go. So basically my goal is try to carve out 100 watch hours a week for the next 12 weeks. So if we do that, if we're not counting this week, okay. So if we just say starting Sunday, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. basically brings us, hold on, I'm gonna do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Brings us either to the very end of September or the first week of October is the goal. So yes, so and I will be. The plan is I'm going to do a lot of delivery live streams this weekend. I just didn't deliver. I did one shift on Monday, and that's all I've delivered this week. I literally have not delivered because we've just been working on all these projects that we need to get done before school starts. And so, and I don't want to save them to the week before school because I know that's chaos. No, I did live for picking up Slurpees. We did a family live earlier today. Spent about an hour, and in the live we went to 4 different 7-Elevens. We had gone to one before that, so that was a live, and that also didn't seem to really get pushed out like they normally do. So no late nights. No, we're going to talk about time management next week. In fact, it's going to be just the opposite. Like once school year starts, I'm going to be getting up significantly earlier. So, um, so I'm kind of I'm throwing in the old man late night towel for the most part. I mean, I'll still do some later night deliveries Fridays and Saturdays, but still not much past 11 o'clock for delivery. It's just, I mean, there's money, but it's compared to how tired I am the next morning. I don't really know if I ever gain more by doing late night delivery versus just getting up and, I'm probably better off going to bed at like 10 o'clock on a Friday and then being out at 8 a.m. on a Saturday than I am going out till 1 and not getting out till 10 the next morning because our brunches are pretty good on weekends here. Old rich people like brunch. It's just a thing, at least in my area. Old rich people like brunch. And so there's just, especially Saturday and Sunday brunch. So it's, I can't do the late night anymore. All right, one other channel update for future video that's coming. I actually picked up an item to sell on Amazon today. We did some clothes shopping at a secondhand store, but I found this. It was new and sealed T-Rex. It was like $20, and they sell for about 70 on Amazon. So I have a few other random things that are going to go in my Amazon shipment. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, we'll put an Amazon shipment together, start teaching those of you who are interested in that. So anyway, that's what we've got. So I don't really have too much else. I mean, all the normal things apply. We've got the new Adopt a Pizza tier on Patreon if you want to pick a topping for my family's pizza any given week. Tomorrow is pizza day. We do pizza most every Friday. So it's pizza day tomorrow. So there's kind of that. All the other links that are down in the description below. We talked so much about them last night. I kind of don't want to like over crazily do that. By the way, hi Eli. I don't know if I caught that message or not yet. But thanks for hanging out with us tonight. There's definitely something weird. There's definitely something funky with the YouTube algorithm today. So, because even when people were talking and chatting, they're saying 0. And even when Shane's been posting, like it said 0, like while you guys are commenting. So I don't know what's going on, but it's all good. I know whoever's meant to see this is going to see it. So late night rush. Wow, that's pretty good. It's a little better in the winter time here. It just felt, I don't know. I haven't done one in a while, so maybe I need to try one again. But we're just the way our schedule is. I'm just going to be getting up at like probably between 4 and 5 a.m. a lot once the school year starts. So we'll have some changes probably coming with when exactly we do this live stream once school starts, because I just don't think I can do it quite as late anymore. But that's coming. We're still researching, and that's actually going to be part of our journey next week, because we're going to talk about time management and how to maximize all of that. And so I really don't have too much else. I think that's basically it. We just kind of have our prayer for the night, and I think that's where we're going to end if there's no other questions. I appreciate everybody watching this live and on replay. This is one of my favorite parts of the day every day, no matter what happens. And today was a good, fun family day, but no matter what happens, it's just always fun to like sit back, relax, hang out with whoever's available to hang out, learn a little something. Pushes me to keep learning, pushes me to keep you stronger. and doing that. So anyway, thank you all. We're going to just close in prayer, and we'll see you back here Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about time management next week. How do we get the most out of our time? How do we not waste our time, not just as delivery drivers now? Now we're talking in a broader way. How do we maximize our time? And we might even spend time. I might have you guys work with me to kind of adopt this perfect schedule going into the fall, and I'll tell you what some of my thought processes are and how I've kind of approached it over the years. Again, not something I'm perfect at, something I want to keep learning, and I'm going to watch some videos and listen to videos this weekend. Yeah, I will be out tomorrow, Shane. I will be delivering. I'm not sure what time. I have one kind of big project I'm working on tomorrow, so it might just be kind of delivery and supper until late night tomorrow. Should be a good chunk of the day Saturday, probably, lunch and afternoon on Saturday. It might just be supper late night tomorrow, and then Sunday could be brunch into like mid-afternoon rush. That's probably, so there will be a fair amount of that streaming. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, keep your eyes open. I don't pre-announce it just because my schedule's a little too set. So I'll try to at least get it up a half an hour before, if I know I'm going to be doing that. It's a little hard. It's a little clunkier when I'm doing it purely from the mobile side and the vertical live stream. So it is going to happen. It's just, this is the 10 o'clock is the one set thing that I can do. So I totally understand that not having it out ahead of time kind of hurts the gross viewership, but problem is I don't know my schedule for tomorrow. So that's the thing, is that's the pros and cons of being gig delivery driver, right? Is you can choose your own schedule, but sometimes you don't know what that schedule is going to be. So I'll work on that a little bit. I'll try to schedule it out a little bit for the times that I do know. But it's hard because of family stuff and other things like that. Trying to be committed to too many things on a set schedule is difficult. But we're going to talk about that next week with time management as well. So our next show for our daily show will be Sunday, July 14th, I believe is the date on that. Sunday, July 14th, 10 p.m. Eastern. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close in prayer. And thank you all for hanging out. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today. Just thank you for fun family time that I was able to have today, and the free Slurpee day and the fun that we were able to have with that. Thank you so much for your love for us, your forgiveness for us. Just thank you for everybody who's hanging out with us and just spending time together, learning and growing. Father, for those that are watching live, for those of you watching on replay, just pray for each and every one of them. Give them a good weekend ahead, and just pray so much that we would just rely on your love and look for ways to serve other people. Pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you so much. I will see you on Sunday night.